Is it good? Okay. So what we're going to do today is have our discussion group, right? The first part of our group work is I'm going to read the story out loud again to you, but while I'm reading, you're going to annotate, right? You're going to take notes. So use our take note chart. We've all done this before, so you guys know what to do? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. So as I'm reading, you're not only listening, you're taking notes, because our goal for today is to have a group discussion about what we are thinking about the story and about what we've learned from the story, okay, and about our understanding. So you need a pencil. Does everybody have a pencil? We're good? Okay.
Yep.
So while I'm reading, what are you doing?
Taking notes.
Taking notes. Good.
Can you put up the chart?
Do you need to move it up?
Yeah.
Sure. I'll put this down for now, so we can put them. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Are we ready? Let's start at page 1.
I already did it.
So follow along with Nicole. Okay. Ready? Once upon a time in America, when automobiles were black and looked like tanks and laundry was white and hung on clotheslines to dry, there were 2 wonderful baseball leagues that no longer exist. They were called the Negro Leagues.
I'm taking a note.
If you're taking notes, jot them quickly. Use your symbols, right, to help you go a little faster. And remember, we're not going to discuss now. I'm just going to read it. We're going to do our discussion in a little bit. Okay, page 2. The Negro Leagues had extraordinary players, and adoring fans came to see them whenever they played. They were heroes, but players in the Negro Leagues didn't make much money, and their lives on the road were hard. Laws against segregation didn't exist in the 1940s. In many places in this country, black people were not allowed to go to the same schools and churches as white people. They couldn't sit in the front of a bus or trolley car. They couldn't drink from the same drinking fountains that white people drank from. Back then, many hotels didn't rent rooms to black people, so the Negro League players slept in their cars. Many towns had no restaurants that would serve them, so they often had to eat meals that they could buy and carry with them. On page 4. Life was very different for the players in the major leagues. They were the leagues for white players. Compared to the Negro League players, white players were very well paid. They stayed in good hotels and ate in fine restaurants. Their pictures were put on baseball cards, and the best players became famous all over the world. Many Americans knew that racial prejudice was wrong, but few dared to challenge openly the way things were. And many people were apathetic about racial problems. Some feared that it could be dangerous to object. Vigilante groups like the Ku Klux Klan reacted violently against those who tried to change the way blacks were treated. You ready? We're on page 6. And Dom, are you taking notes? Remember, even if you don't have full notes on it, Dom, they were symbols, right? All right, so there's a picture of Branch Rickey. The general manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers baseball team was a man by the name of Branch Rickey. He was not afraid of change. He wanted to treat the Dodger fans as the best players he could find, regardless of the color of their skin. He thought segregation was unfair and wanted to give everyone, regardless of race or creed, an opportunity to compete equally on baseball fields across America. To do this, the Dodgers needed one special man. Good notes going around. Excellent. Branch Rickey launched a search for him. He was looking for a star player in the Negro Leagues who would be able to compete successfully despite threats on his life or attempts to injure him. He would have to possess the self-control not to fight back when opposing players tried to intimidate or hurt him. If this man disgraced himself on the field, Rickey knew his opponents would use it as an excuse to keep blacks out of Major League Baseball for many more years. Rickey thought Jackie Robinson might be just the man.
Is he white or black?
Who, Jackie Robinson or Branch Rickey? Jackie Robinson is black, Branch Rickey is white. On page 10. See Mason? That's Jackie. Jackie rode the train to Brooklyn to meet Mr. Rickey. When Mr. Rickey told him, "I want a man with the courage not to fight back," Jackie Robinson replied, "If you take this gamble, I will do my best to perform." They shook hands. Branch Rickey and Jackie Robinson were starting on what would be known in history as the Great Experiment. 12. At spring training with the Dodgers, Jackie was mobbed by blacks, young and old, as if he were a savior. He was the first black player to try out for a major league team. If he succeeded, they knew others would follow. Initially, life with the Dodgers was for Jackie a series of humiliations. The players on his team who came from the South, men who had been taught to avoid black people since childhood, moved to another table whenever he sat down next to them. Many opposing players were cruel to him, calling him nasty names from their dugouts. A few tried to hurt him with their spiked shoes. Pitchers aimed at his head, and he received threats on his life, both from the individuals and from organizations like the Ku Klux Klan. That's a good question. Dan, write it down. Oh, you did? Oh, good. Page 14. So you're ready. Despite all of the difficulties, Jackie Robinson didn't give up. He made the Brooklyn Dodgers team. We're on page 17 now. But making the Dodgers was only the beginning. Jackie had to face abuse and hostility throughout the season. From April through September, his worst pain was inside. Often he felt very alone. On the road, he had to live by himself because only the white players were allowed in hotels in towns where the team played. We're on to page 18. The whole time Pee Wee Reese, the Dodger shortstop, was growing up in Louisville, Kentucky, he had rarely even seen a black person, unless it was in the back of a bus. Most of his friends and relatives hated the idea of him playing on the same field as a black man. In addition, Pee Wee Reese had more to lose than the other players when Jackie joined the team. Jackie had been a shortstop, and everyone thought that Jackie would take Pee Wee's job. Lesser men might have felt anger towards Jackie, but Pee Wee was different. He told himself, if he's good enough to take my job, he deserves it. When you're ready, we're on page 20. When his Southern teammates circulated a petition to throw Jackie off the team and asked him to sign it, Pee Wee responded, "I don't care if this man is black, blue, or straight. and refused to sign.
Which was him.
He can play and he can help us win, he told the others. That's what counts. That's key. Right? Look, he's the one who's talking to all the other players. 22 and 23. Guys are doing a nice job. Everybody's following along. It's good. Good notes. I know I did the one copy and printer. Very early in the season, the Dodgers traveled west to Ohio to play the Cincinnati Reds. Cincinnati is near Pee Wee's hometown of Louisville. And 25. The Reds played in a small ballpark where the fans sat close to the field. The players could almost feel the breath of the fans on the backs of their necks. Many who came that day screamed terrible, hateful things at Jackie when the Dodgers were on the field. More than anything else, Pee Wee Reese believed in doing what was right. When he heard the fans yelling at Jackie, Pee Wee decided to take a stand. When you're ready, we're on page 26 and 27. With his head high, Pee Wee walked directly from his shortstop position to where Jackie was playing first base. The taunts and shouting of the fans were ringing in Pee Wee's ears. It saddened him because he knew it could have been his friends and neighbors. Pee Wee's legs felt heavy, but he knew what he had to do. As he walked towards Jackie wearing the gray Dodger uniform, he looked into his teammates' bold, pained eyes. The first baseman had done nothing to provoke the hostility except that he sought to be treated as an equal. Jackie was grim with anger. Pee Wee smiled broadly as he reached Jackie. Jackie smiled back. I'll give you a second because you may have some thinking on that page. You guys didn't miss much. We just reread the story. Okay, so now we're on the back page, which is the last page. Stopping beside Jackie, Pee Wee put his arm around Jackie's shoulders. An audible gasp rose from the crowd when they saw what Pee Wee had done. Then there was silence. Outlined on a sea of green grass stood these two great athletes, one black, one white, both wearing the same team uniform. I'm standing by him, Pee Wee Reese said to the world. This man is my teammate. Okay, so what we're going to do now, in the groups that you're in, you're going to have a mini discussion.
Wait, are we going to sell the floor?
Not yet. You're right. We're going to do that in a minute. But first, you're going to use your books and your notes to fill out this paper, okay? So I'm going to put this, I'm going to put this on I'll put this on the document camera so we can see what you have to do.
You still need out your books and your pencils, boys
Yep.
and girls.
Okay, so we were under time for that. That's good. Okay, so this is your small group discussion sheet. Sorry, Mrs. Seth.
Does everyone have a small group talk paper? Is there anyone who's missing one? Okay.
All right, so if you look at the top, It says small group talk, so that's what you're doing right now. Well, what you're going to do in a minute, okay? And there are some guidelines for our small group talk, similar to what we talked about the other day for our large group talk. So the first one is all voices should be heard, meaning everyone in your group should have an opinion, and that as good group members, you're listening to everybody's thinking, right? Everyone participates, which we talk about a lot. Use language such as, Ashley, I agree with you about blank, but I think blank. Remember when we watched the videos of the other discussion groups? And we talked about the language that they were using? So same thing. Even though it's not in the large group, you're going to do that in the small group, right? So, and it's on our chart, disagreeing, but in a polite way, okay? Keep your eyes on the speaker. We talked about the importance of that the other day. All right, so everyone's filling out their own sheet. The directions are, captains, choose one question or statement to discuss with your group. So you'll see there's 2 on the front and then 2 on the back. You only have to choose one for right now, okay? Everyone's going to choose one. So the captain's going to make the decision for your group, okay? You can take notes while you talk, but spend most of your time talking. The important thing is that you're discussing your thinking about the question or about the statement and how it's related to the story, okay? So let's look at the different options we have. The first one's a statement. It says player, it should say players. It says player, may typo. Players in the Negro League were treated differently than players in the Major League. So I'm not asking a question, I'm just putting out a statement from the story. And in that box, you're going to write down your group discussion thinking, okay? You're going to take some notes. So that would be what you guys discuss in your group. The next one is, if you choose that one. The next one is, on page 12, it says, at spring training with the Dodgers, Jackie was mobbed by blacks young and old, as if he were a savior. So the question is, what does it mean to be a savior? Do you think that Jackie Robinson was a savior? So that would be your discussion, and there's a place to take notes. On the back, question 3, was Pee Wee Reese loyal to Jackie Robinson, and how do you know? And number 4, do you think anyone in the story acted courageously? If so, who? What evidence can you find to support your thinking? So that's an important part of this. You want to go back into the text and look for evidence for all of them. This one's asking for it specifically. And then there's lines at the bottom where you can take other sort of notes, or if you want to add some thinking. And remember, you already have your notes in your book too. And we're going to take all that back with us when we do our large group discussion. Mrs. O'Donnell, will you go over the group rules on that back poster for me?
So let's remember that we've worked on our group expectations since the beginning of the year. We get along, right? We will not argue. Respect others. We will listen to everyone's ideas. On-task behavior. Are you doing your job? On-task talk only. We're not talking about what we did over the weekend, boys and girls. We're talking about teammates. Use quiet voices. Only your group should hear you. There's 4 groups talking at the same time. It can't be too loud, right? Because you need to be able to hear the people within your group. Participate. Do your part. Don't let other people do all the work. Everyone has a voice about this story, right? So you're going to share with your group members. Everyone gets a chance to talk. And stay in your groups. We're not moving around for this activity. Raise your hand. One of us will come to you if you need us. As for using quiet voices, I would say we're going to be about a 1 in your group. Okay?
Okay, so captains, raise your hand. All right, so you're deciding on numbers 1, 2, 3, or 4. If there is time, because I'm going to give you 12 minutes to do this, you can do another one. But, so captains, go ahead and you make that decision. Look
So
it
Mason,
over.
you're choosing which question.
And then let your group know. So I'm going to start the timer. We'll be around to... Yes.
Okay, so
Those are where your notes go.
number 4, so everybody be
You're
at number
thinking.
4, okay?
Okay? Remember, you're spending most of your time talking. So which one are you going to
Who's
do
the
now?
captain? What did you choose?
The first one. Okay.
To make a decision
Good.
for your group. What do you
All right, so captains, you can start the talk
think? Okay, so
discussion.
everyone turn to number
Okay.
3. So group
And
2,
maybe
you're
put
gonna be
out
working
what your
on question
thinking
number
is.
3.
Go ahead, remember you need
Which
your
question
book.
did you choose? Okay, so you guys are all at number 3. Tyra, you're not at number 3, sweetheart. Flip your paper
Okay,
over.
so what's your thinking since you chose?
Okay.
Captains, you're gonna start the discussion since you're choosing the question.
Who's the captain here? Nick?
No, Nick is. Because Nick's always on Monday.
Okay, so what question did you choose?
Number 1.
So number 1. So you're gonna start our discussion then for us, okay, Nick? So Nicole, one question, number 1, sweetheart. Patrick, flip your paper over so that you're on number 1, sweetie.
Okay, captains go first, right?
So Nathan, you're part of the discussion here. Dom, are we listening? So Jake, what are you saying? What are you saying?
I said that he was good because he's the only one that helped
Language, Harry, that was awesome.
Okay, so we can answer that discussion.
I heard Harry say, I agree with both of you, and then add on this thing, right? So remember, those things that we talked about, that was good. Remember, take some notes,
Good.
you're gonna use that in your
How
discussion.
about you?
Don't forget to
Sit
jot
down, let's
down
add
what
to our
you're
conversation.
thinking on your paper, because you're gonna use that for your big discussion.
Nick, you could write something like.
But why? Don't say just
Write
every
something
why.
like Jackie Robinson is a really good player and shouldn't have been treated a little bit badly because he was black.
Don't forget to jot down your
Okay.
thinking.
Horrible, good. Yeah, I agree. So Nathan?
The Negro League, so let's get back in the story. Yeah, I'm sure.
Robinson.
This is a long time ago, it doesn't exist anymore. So let's see, the Negro Leagues. The Negro Leagues had extraordinary players and foreign fans in the same way they played. They were heroes and players. Shouldn't.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit more about how you know, and maybe you can look back to
The Major Leagues?
jog your memory for some of the things that you might want to add to
Are you
that,
asking what's the
okay?
difference between this and
You
this?
guys are doing a good job. I like how you said, Nicole, I agree with Jake because, and then you supported that. You guys have good thinking, so keep discussing amongst your group, okay?
Play on the Negro League. I was fine because all of them were good, and I think all of them.
He played for the Negro Leagues, but then he was asked to play on the Dodgers, which are part of the Major Leagues.
Tagline said
You need to put that on. Alright, so does that make sense though? Yeah? So, the Dodgers are part of the Major Leagues.
Jackie Robinson and the pitcher wanted to throw it out.
Jackie was part of the Negro League, and Branch Rickey wanted him to play for the Dodgers because he was so good. Right?
Your thing.
So let's listen to our group and see what. Alright, so good, I hear you guys having a polite conversation about having a disagreement. So, Nick, you were disagreeing with Nick's thinking. Did you explain why, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was disagreeing with my thinking.
Okay, and did he explain why to you? Okay, so
But
you
he got picked in the major leagues, and he was the only one that was picked.
No, they, all of them were good, just he was the best.
do you think maybe they picked him for another reason other than just being the best? What do you think? He was a good sports
The players were kidding him badly, he wouldn't treat him.
I agree with Ryan because I think he would stay at college, not go
Do you guys agree with this? Do you agree with what they're saying? Do you think maybe Jackie would be able to stay calm and not get really upset? Yes? Do you see that in the story? Oh, Nicole, I'm sorry. I didn't talk over you. Go ahead, what were you going to add? Why do you think he deserved to play on the team?
Major League.
So why do you think he deserved it?
He deserved it. You know what they're saying? He deserved it because he all his life he's been treated badly.
Yeah, right? They weren't, the players in the Negro League weren't treated very well. Good. That's good thinking. Good job, guys. Let me see how much time is left. Yes, honey? Okay. Yeah, you jot down your thinking. Remember to jot down your thinking so you can use this in our big discussion. That's going to be next.
We go number 2.
No, we just pick one.
I made all the hotels and stuff when he was traveling. It wasn't be writing down money, so he wouldn't have enough
I wrote
money
down
to
what
pay
I
for all his back to the Negro Leagues.
Which one are you talking about? Number 4?
He got hit with the ball that pitchers.
Do you think there's only one person? Or are there more than one? Okay. Oh, so you're actually saying 3, aren't you? You're saying Pee-wee Reese and Reggie. You're saying what else is that?
So what do you think about what they're saying? Do you agree, disagree?
A lot of people came to see the Negro League, but they didn't make money.
They made a little bit of money.
Okay.
Okay, so what you're saying that
Pee-wee Reese, right? Isn't that what we're talking
Because
about?
they were really good.
Who
Look in the
really
beginning.
showed a loyal
why
to
you're saying
Jackie
that
Robinson. And although he witnessed and faced overcame all
But,
those
like, they-
challenges, he
they
did not
won
want
lots of
to
money.
him.
Well,
So that
that
is really what
run
loyalty
didn't
is,
really
right?
care about getting money. They just wanted to run it.
In front of the whole world and in front of the back crowd. So I think that kind of takes some courage.
So they took advantage.
Right, when there's
Like
people
the
who are
Phillies
doing
make more
such
money
terrible
than
things, and this man takes a stand and says, he's my friend, he's my
So the
team,
baseball
right?
so when the Negro League played,
With what?
Quit
Quit it, that's right. Quit it.
The mayor,
Right?
But it's
Good,
okay. But it's
good. So
okay.
continue with your conversation and don't forget to get down in the box what your thinking is. Good job, guys.
That was a big discussion. Okay.
well,
You know what? Go ahead.
we
She'll
would
give
just
you
make,
probably
would
give you
would force them to force the games to be free. So
All
they
right, you have like 3 minutes.
so the Negro League.
I hear a good conversation.
We only have
You have your thinking down, okay, so you make sure you're putting down your
No,
thinking
we
down.
only do the ones that Nick picked.
Good, good.
I like your kind of
Nicole,
So
did
your
you write
answer
down
is
anything?
right, do you think anyone is in the story of
Number
so you're gonna say
No,
yes or
for
no,
number
and answer to who, right, and then use your
leave that
evidence from the text. Good. How'd it go? You guys were the only group that chose the statement instead of a question. How did your conversation go?
Good, pretty well.
The discussion went well?
At first, he disagreed with mine, and then he disagreed with him.
But that's okay, right?
Yeah, and then we all
And I
agreed with
added.
each other.
Good.
On the way team to make a team.
To make a change, he deserved that, right? He deserved the opportunity, you think?
Because he deserved it because he was treated badly on really nice and
Give him Patrick.
well, I just really did him on that team.
Well, even on that team, didn't he face some challenges even on the team at first? Until Pee-wee took a stand for him, right? Good, Nicole. Patrick, what were you gonna say, sweetie?
That they were not allowed in some hotels or restaurants, but major leagues were allowed in hotels.
Yeah, that proves a big difference, right? They didn't even have a place to stay when they went to a game.
Major?
The major leagues.
Well, it's easier to say that.
Okay.
You know what?
You have like 2 minutes.
Everyone has their thinking down, right? It's all written down there.
Funny, because I took toilet paper
Written down?
and put all hardened up.
Good? Excellent.
It's waterproof, like Spanish kind of like.
Harry, you put your thinking down on your paper, hon?
You have good thinking, Harry. Yeah, make sure it's down.
Make sure you put what you're thinking down on the paper.
What did you write?
Jackie Robinson was a
write it
good
in
player and shouldn't have been treated badly because He is black. Jackie Robinson stayed calm when other players called him names.
You can. And that's why they're there, right? Okay.
I think Jackie should have treated things like that.
Nicole, what did you write down?
He deserved to play on that team because
Alright, so our time is just about up. What we're going to do now is we're going to move the chairs, we're going to move the desks out to the edges and then put our chairs in a big circle. Okay, so in your group only, move the desks to the corner, but take the chairs out. So pull your chairs out. Yes, you need your teammates' book, a pencil, and your notes that you just worked on. And then I'll give you a folder to lean on while we're in our... Come on, Dad. Move yours back. That way. Yeah, that way. You need your chairs. Yes, you need your chairs. Take your chair. Careful. Watch fingers. Watch fingers.
You need your chair.
Make sure you can... Okay, we'll get out. Here, Patrick. We'll get another chair for you.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's trying to, there's one right here.
Patrick, just hold, honey. Don't wait to get stuck. That's good. Patrick, hold, yours. Right here, Patrick, go this way. There you go.
So Nicole, you need your chair, honey. We're gonna move this stuff out so we
I don't want to close you in this stuff.
the room.
I'm going to try to stay like where I can go.
All right. Sorry. I think somebody needs this. I have to run over here.
You need your chair, Nick.
Okay. That was pretty good. That was quick. Guys, you're doing a great job. For this first time doing this, you're really doing an excellent job. Okay, so this is the part. Okay. Here, back up. We need a bigger circle.
Bigger circle, guys.
Your name. Okay, here,
Let's scooch this way a little bit. So, guys, scooch down. Aiden, we're going to scooch down so we can
Dominic, back up, sweetheart.
our chairs in. Nicole, is that your chair in between Angie and Martina?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Macy, you don't need a chair, honey. There's a chair here.
I'll put it right.
Okay, so this is the part where, oh, here, take a folder and pass it down. Where's your papers? You need all your papers. Go ahead, you go get your papers.
Why is there a free chair right there?
All right, so. Here. This is the part where Mrs. O'Donnell and I aren't part of your discussion, right? So really quickly, eyes up here. Let's review our rules. Wish I had a better spot. Oh, we know where I can hang this? I have a good spot. I have a good spot for our poster. Okay, let's review our rules for our discussion group. Great discussions. Everyone participates. Here, guys, turn around for a sec. I know it's behind you, but that's okay. Everyone participates. There's active listening, which we've had many conversations about before. We're staying on topic, reading the text carefully. You're using evidence from the text, which you've been working on in your small group. You're speaking clearly, right? So that the person you're having the discussion with, or whole group, can understand what you're trying to say. Maintain eye contact. Everyone is prepared, which it looks like we are. We have our teammate story, our notes, and our pencil. Yes? Questions are asked, which once we we get into our discussion group, I'm sure they will be. The group members encourage each other. So we talked about that the other day, and we thought of some signals that we could give each other to help each other out. And we'll review them before we start. Okay? People piggyback off of each other's ideas. So in your small group, you talked about one question, but we're going to talk about everybody's discussion. So there may be a question or a statement that you didn't discuss in your small group, but are you going to have thinking about it?
Yes.
Definitely. Yes, Aiden.
What does piggyback mean?
Like a piggyback ride, like
Yeah.
I could do
you,
it.
you visualize someone jumping on someone's shoulders and that person's carrying them.
Yeah.
So if I start talking about, it's almost like when you make connections back in the group. So if I start talking about something and then someone
Somebody
raises their
takes it up.
hand and says, "Oh, I know that," and kind of has a connection, but that may spark your own thinking, right? And then you can present your thinking. It doesn't have to be a connection, but that's what I think of. Okay. So remember, we value what you have to say, right? And these are great ways to start our thoughts. So when you're having trouble thinking of what language to use, I heard people saying, "I agree," or "I disagree," or "I hear what you're saying, but let me tell you what I'm thinking," as a way to disagree, and that was excellent. So I agree, disagree with this person because, but do you see this word because? And I heard this, you need to give your reasons, right? You need to give your reasons. That's the most important part about today. I think the author's trying to, I infer this because I noticed that I can connect or relate to that because, Audriana, I'd like to go back to what this person said, right? If someone spoke a little while ago and you didn't get a chance to talk about their thinking, you just have to name that person and move on, right? Go talk about what you want to talk about. I wonder, do you think that the lesson we can learn is, right? We've been talking about theme, so a lot of you have been talking about this one, Aiden. I was confused when, right? It's all right to be confused, Harry, right? So you can put that out there and maybe somebody can clear it up for us, right? I predict that, for someone making a prediction in their group, and the main idea might be, those are just some, so if you need help with that. Let's review our signals. Encouragement, what's our encouragement signal? Where people are, you're going to tell that person they're doing a good job without telling them. Everybody, let me see your encouragement symbol. Neat. Encouragement symbol. Neat. Good. How about I agree? What's our silent I agree? This, right? Nod yes. Let me see it. Do you have your agree symbol? Nod. There you go. Confused. This is what we chose for confused, right? A little confused. Okay. I have something to add. I have something to add. Good. And I have good thinking to share, or that person has good thinking. We did this. Good. Jot those down. Okay. Now remember, this is the first time we're ever doing this. Okay? So we may have to jump in a little bit, but we're going to try to stay out of it, right? You're the boss today, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So which captain would like to start? Which captain would like to start? Jake.
Okay.
Jake is the brave one. So we're just going to sit back and observe all the good things you guys are doing. And then Jake, why don't you start out talking about your question? Yeah, I would read the question you did first.
Was Pee Wee Reese loyal to Jackie Robinson? How do you know? Yes, because he was the only one that stood up for Jackie Robinson.
It's kind of like mine.
Okay, so Mason's saying it's kind of like mine. Okay. Say your thinking, Mason.
I think it was Pee Reese is the only person who was being nice to Jackie Robinson on the whole scene. Pee Reese put his arm around Jackie Robinson while people were
You guys are running it, don't look at me.
I didn't have that question. I agree with Jacob because Pee Wee Reese stood up at the end of the story and put his arm around a black person, Jackie Robinson.
I agree because Pee Wee Reese put his arm around Jackie Robinson and said, Jackie Robinson is my teammate.